Look at the comment on Rumble. Oh my God, that's so funny. Hello, locals. Hello, Rumble. Hello, YouTube. We're going to get this party started. Let's do it. If you're not on Rumble and you don't see it, oh my, oh my. All right. Freewheeling Friday today, folks. We're going to take it nice and easy, and I'll try, do my best while Laura's at a school trip with our kid. I'm going to do my best to try to grab your questions during the Q&A. All right, let's do this. Oh boy, I really hope you guys don't hear that, all that ruckus outside. But welcome to Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. And I'm your host, Rich Barris, the People's Pundit. Don't forget to like the videos if you like them and share them far and wide. Subscribe. It does a world of difference. I say this every day, but it really is true. You have no idea how much just liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel really does help. All right, lots to do. But it is a freewheeling day. I think I'm going to start out with this this clip. And this is a shorter clip. I have one other one that I'm probably going to play, which is kind of long, but there's a reason why there's a method to my madness. All right. And then we're going to talk, of course, about what they're talking about, which is the political impact of these trials or this trial, because everything else is basically imploded against this guy. What else? Of course, there's some economic data. I told you we're going to be a little bit more, a little bit more focused on economic data because it does have an immense impact on how people vote and why Trump is leading Joe Biden. I mean, you can say what you want to say, point to what poll you want to point to. Everyone can cherry pick polls, but the fact of the matter is, as Philip Wegman put up on Twitter yesterday, or X, formerly known as Twitter yesterday, Trump has led in the Real Clear Politics average for over a year. And he's led with the exception of one tracking day. And in the battleground states, his lead is even bigger, which, of course, we would expect. Joe Biden needs a popular vote win of 4 points to be safe. More would be 4 or more really is true. He won by a little bit more than 4. And yet, he barely carried the Electoral College. I mean, you add up the Electoral College votes, that's fine. It's one thing, but you're talking about 40,000 votes across a few states. The census changed the math here. And there's a great interview I didn't get a chance to finish reading with Tony Fabrizio. If we get a chance to do it now, today, I want you to take away anything from it. I want you to take away this. Tony is a skeptic. He does not believe in celebrating before it's too early. I mean, anyone who knows him will tell you. I don't really know the guy that much, but he is one of those dudes who was just like, he's like, reminds me of my father had this expression. All right, and he used to say all the time, Richard, don't count your chickens before they hatch. He would always say that. It taught me a very valuable lesson in life. That's kind of the attitude I'm talking about here. And yet, the current reality, which is what the campaign told donors in Palm Beach last week, the current reality is that the only true toss-ups are the Rust Belt states. That's the truth. Arizona is not a toss-up, data orbital side. It's not. Trump has a significant lead in Arizona, at least right now. And I'm not saying if you're a Republican, rest on your laurels. Don't be stupid. Of course. Georgia is not really a toss-up right now. All right. It's just not. All right. So North Carolina is definitely not a toss-up. Is it a purple state? And is it a state that can go back and forth? Sure. But it's also a state that moves almost in total concert with the national mood, the national vote. So if let's say the national popular vote moves 6 points. You would expect Donald Trump to win North Carolina by about 7 points. All right. Why? Because last time he won by about a point. So if, I'm rounding here. If the national popular vote was to move 4 points, just 4, so it's dead even popular vote wise, then you would expect Trump to win North Carolina by about 3-4 points. Listen, it's not, sounds like it's close, but it's really not. Okay, it's really not. And then Florida is gone. It's gone. I don't give a damn. Poll this one, poll for the Chamber of Commerce. This one did one thing. This one did the other thing. I don't give a damn about anybody's polling in the state of Florida except for my own. I am the only one who has never failed Florida for my entire public career. I know that state inside and out. I know where every single vote is. I'm telling you, Donald Trump is going to carry he's going to carry Florida by 10 to 15 points. I kid you not. It's gone. He's going to carry Miami-Dade. It's over. Wrap. So when you're also looking at some of these other states, God, man, the only 3 states that are real toss-ups right now are Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. That's it. Even Nevada. Most people think that Nevada is going to be close, and Trump is on his way to carry it, being the first Republican to do so since George W. Bush. However, they need a ground game. There's no doubt. Because we all know how Democrats operate over there. But the same way they operate everywhere. What the hell am I talking about? We all know how Democrats operate. That's the correct answer. And full stop. That's the end. We can end it there. But it does look like he is well positioned to carry that state. And it doesn't matter even if he doesn't. Because if he carries Arizona, if he carries Georgia, he only needs one of the big 3 Rust Belt states. That's it. That's all. Because he would be essentially at 268. And that's without Maine, which is on the precipice of falling. That's without, well, you know what? Let me just shut up. All right. This isn't the People's Pundit talking here.
And Trump's more ahead than he's ever been. Fewer people think January 6th was any kind of what it was, is an assault on the temple of democracy, the Constitution. I don't know what the fuck you want to say. It's going the wrong way. It's not working. Everything.
Even he thinks that the insurrection narrative around January 6th is BS. Did you hear it? Whatever you want to call it, he says. Even James Carville knows that it's bull. That is, listen, let me just cut clip. Hold on, James. Give me 1 second, buddy. That talk is for Democrats. That talk is for people who are easily swayed by social pressure. That talk is for the people at home. Nobody in D.C. believes that was an insurrection. Nobody in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party within the ruling class believes that was an insurrection. That is BS. There is always this world that they create and these narratives. That's all for you, all right? Nobody ever believed that Russia and Trump colluded to steal the 2016 election. Nobody ever believed it. And by the way, that includes the liars at the New York Times and the Washington Post. Actually, you got to give more credit to the Washington Post. You do. Because while Maggie Haberman at the New York Times was helping Adam Schiff, because that's who her source was, okay? And among others. But I mean, the bathroom leaker who would get up in the middle of the meetings, classified meetings, and when they're questioning witnesses like Donald Trump Jr., when he would get up and go take a leak or say he's going to take a leak in the bathroom, which is already just highly irregular. Piss before you go. What do you got? The bladder of a small child? You have to finish those meetings so everyone knows when somebody goes out and something is leaked, it didn't come from you. He would go, we called him the bathroom leaker. He would run to the bathroom, pretend like he's taking a piss, and then call Maggie Haberman at the New York Times. Remember the WikiLeaks email? And then CNN ran with it and screwed up. They didn't check the date. That's because they were getting that stuff from Adam Schiff, and they just thought that it was solid. It was good. Adam Schiff screwed them, and he burned the CNN, not intentionally. He burned them because they were stupid. They didn't check their own damn information. That was Adam Schiff pretending to take a piss. Maggie Haberman knew 100% that Hillary Clinton paid for that dossier, and that was actually funded by real Russians, all right, and crooked Ukrainians. They knew that. These shows, and they are shows, they're for you. They don't believe them. And even James Carville doesn't believe that January 6th was an insurrection. And now that narrative is gone. They're going to try to pull it back. They're going to try to resurrect that puppy. They're giving it mouth to mouth right now. It's gone. A year and a half ago, when you ask people about that, Democrats had this advantage with protecting democracy, preserving democracy. Huge advantage. If you asked, hey, do you trust Biden or Trump more to preserve our democracy? Huge advantage for Biden. It's evaporated now because of lawfare, because nobody really believes the January 6th crap the way they did. And number two, Democrats overreached with the lawfare and scared the bejesus out of people. They crossed a Rubicon here. So again, you hear what he said? That was a rare moment, folks. A very rare moment when you can peek in and see what they believe. And that's what they really believe.
Thing that we're throwing is spaghetti at a wall, and none of it is sticking, me included. And it's hard when you start in your 80th year, and you know, like anybody else, I have an opinion of myself, and the opinion I've come to is I don't matter. It doesn't matter. You can prepare. You can be on TV. Or you can write pieces. You can have a YouTube channel. You can have a podcast. And nothing. And you know, we gotta like try to think of something different, because what we're doing is really, really not working.
All right, listen. Mark Penn, he was a pollster for Bill Clinton. And I don't want to say he hasn't fallen out. He is still well respected within Democratic ranks, but he's not part of like the new Democratic order, right? So they mock him, they trash his polling. He polls, of course, for the Harvard poll in conjunction with Harris, right? He used to have this expression, you know, that you can really fight reality with messaging for a long time, but in the end, reality will always win. That's why it's not working, James, because you freaking lie. You're liars. Your policies suck, and all you do to win elections is scare the shit out of people. Well, when people start to be more afraid of your policies and what you're doing to the country than they are about your damn narratives that are fake, it falls apart. And the podcasts are winning. James, you're not, because you suck, because CNN and every other network you parade around on lies to people. They're only viewed now by people who like to be lied to. And rest assured, there is a certain segment of the population that likes to be lied to. But when economic confidence blows, because the economy blows, you cannot trot out a senile old man with shit in his pants to tell people they're stupid for not understanding why the economy is better. You are truly in a bubble, all of you, and you're getting what you got coming to you right now. That's all there is to it. Speaking of which, before we go to the next clip, I want to just bring this up. And then we're going to talk about the election implications of it, because, you know, they've been doing this a very, 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 very long time. And we talked a little bit about the survey of consumers and our next national poll. We're going to revisit the Registered Voter Economic Confidence Index. Even though it rebounded the last quarter when we did it, it wasn't in positive territory. It signaled people believed we were either in a recession or that a recession was coming. When your economic confidence in now, the present day, meets with the expectations index, and those are negative, they're in negative territory, it means that people no longer believe that there is positive growth or a positive future awaiting them. And that signals that, I'm trying to put it in layman's terms, that signals a malaise, an economic malaise, a recession. And I'm very curious to see where we are from there, because here's Gallup. They've been tracking economic confidence for a very long time, throughout a lot of elections, folks, a lot of elections. All right, so let's look at it before we revisit the lawfare here. There's plenty of time to go over how the lawfare is bombing. I got a great article I want to read, and normally I don't read this paper, but you're going to see that we are going to be talking. We're going to be looking at a lot of very different outlets from here and there, because it's important to know what everyone is thinking, and not only thinking, but it's important to know what everybody is pushing. All right. The BS people are pushing. Hang on one second. All right, and then cue something up here. All right. U.S. economic confidence falls for the first time since October. Index slips to negative 29 from negative 20, the lowest since December. All right, remember, presidential election years are very different than midterm years, and they'll even bring that up. But if you read the whole thing, which we will not do. Hang on one second. I go to the big points, then we're going to go to the impact on the election here. Galaxy, I just read it. We don't need to see it again. Let's look at the trend. All right. The theoretical range, it ranges from negative 100 to positive 100. Here's the full trend from 96 to 2004. However, they do go back before that. They did just retool things just a little bit differently, right? As you can see, it's in pretty crappy territory, and this is just a more modern trend, all right? Gallup's Economic Confidence Index summarizes Americans' evaluations of current economic conditions as, quote, excellent, good, only fair, or poor, and their outlook for the economy, whether they believe it is getting better or worse. Very close to the Economic Confidence Index, only we are much more similar to the conference boards, which is conducted by Nielsen. And only differences, we do have relative values. They're scored. It is a relative value index, of course, but we do not use 1985 as a baseline like they do at Nielsen. The index has a theoretical range of plus 100, which is if all Americans rated current conditions as excellent or good, and say the economy is getting better, to negative 100. And that would be as if all Americans rated the economy as poor or getting worse. In Gallup's trend of these measures, since 1992, the highest ECI score was plus 56 in January of 2000, right before George W. Bush took office. The lowest was negative 72 in October 2008. Again, George Bush, right? And then exiting, obviously, getting ready to exit office. The latest results are from in April. And by the way, just listen to that for a second. And these rhino twits, these simpleton fools, don't understand why their party sucks and Donald Trump came around. Like, Donald Trump would never have been needed or even appealing. He's been around for a long time, talking about the same issues he's been talking about. What was the difference? The difference was what he's been talking about came to fruition. The Republican Party failed its party and the American public. Not just people who agree with them, but people who disagree with them. They became exactly what Democrats always said they were. It doesn't matter that Bill Clinton was responsible for the Community Reinvestment Act being bloated the way it was. And by the way, Newt Gingrich was there. The hell was he doing? Sucking on his thumb? Come on. It doesn't matter. Whoever sits in the chair at the time is the one who gets the blame, and rightfully so. Hank Paulson was instructed not once, but twice to go to Capitol Hill. What the hell is going on here, Chris? What's going on, Barney? They told him, shut your mouth and go back to your very unpopular boss. Twice he did so until it all came down. That's their fault. The latest results are from an April 1st to the 22nd, 2024 Gallup poll, conducted as gas prices and inflation more generally were rising. Of course, it's continued to get worse. Also, during this period, the stock market gave back some of its recent record gains. They're trying to tell you that this is actually probably a more generous reading. And high interest rates remained a financial stumbling block for consumers. Shortly after the poll was completed, the federal government announced that the U.S. economic growth had slowed to 1.6 in the first quarter, down from 3.4 at the end of 2023. In other words, this is more rosy than it really is. Remember that. So 24% of adults said the economic conditions were excellent or good, while 32% called them only fair, and 44% rated them as poor. As you can see here, this is where we're at. I'm trying to go through it pretty quickly because it's already 12:21, and I want to get to the juicy part of this. Economic outlook blows donkey. You know what? All right. Here's the full trend from 92 to 04. All right. So actually, let me click on that. Here's the full trend from 92 to 04. I want you to see this because here's where I'm going with this. Okay. Bear with me. And this is, of course, April of 92. This was January of 92. Okay. And by the way, here we go. September 1st, obviously, what happened here, right? Yeah. And the financial crisis. So when we're looking at periods of like real bad COVID, all right, there we go. Job quality, they assess it. If we look at the full trend going back to 01, I mean, it's not as bad as it has been during very bleak economic periods, but what the hell are you doing even getting close to the COVID lockdown, for crying out loud? Political perspectives. This is, I've been bringing this up in the last couple of weeks, not only on our own show, but in other appearances I've been talking about. This is becoming a really dangerous thing in our country, and that's why I keep bringing it up. This is a problem. Democrats are living in another world and have been since Barack Obama. Gallup has written entire articles about this, and so has the Survey of Consumers director, Richard Curtin. Okay, at the University of Michigan, the Consumer Sentiment Index, that's a staple in financial reporting. When people like Richard Curtin and Lydia Syed at Gallup, or Frank Newport at Gallup, are bringing this up, you got to pay attention. Democrats have been living in their own reality for a very long time. This is just Joe Biden's, but the truth is, this has been going on since Barack Obama, when Republicans and independents thought that the economy was weak, even when it was coming back after the Great Recession. Sure, it's better than it was, but it is nowhere near where the economy should be. Democrats were pretending like the freaking thing was booming. The difference between political parties had widened to a point they had never seen in the history of these tracking surveys. In other words, under George Bush, when things were all right, everybody said things were all right. I mean, just because you didn't agree with the party in power did not mean you lied when you were taking these surveys. Part of this is no doubt a result of the realignment. Democrats are benefiting more than everyone else because of who they are and what they are. Professional class, right? Ivy League, government workers, right? So things could be better for you now if you're one of them instead of an average normal citizen. Part of that is to blame for this, but it's been going on too long to simply blame that. When the economy is booming under Donald Trump, wage growth is hitting levels we had not seen since before the Great Recession, not since Bill Clinton's .com boom, the housing boom, Ronald Reagan's era, the everything boom. When you're seeing wage growth like that, which we did under Trump and consistently for 10 months consecutive, 12 months consecutive, plus we're hitting 3% economic growth for a year for the first time since before the Great Recession, et cetera, et cetera. That jobless claims are below 200,000 for a certain amount of consecutive weeks. Again, for the first time since before the Great Recession. Labor force participation is above 63% and is hanging there for the first time since the Great Recession. On and on and on. When Bill Clinton was president, Republicans didn't say the economy was crappy just because Bill Clinton was president. I just mentioned before, the Conference Board uses 1985 as a baseline because it was when Reagan was office they started. They didn't see Democrats saying the economy was crappy just because Reagan was in office. Democrats now are living in an alternate universe. And if the economy is booming under Trump because he's a Republican and he's Donald Trump, they lie. If the economy sucks just because Barack Obama is president, they lie. If the economy sucks just because Joe Biden's president, they will lie. Look at this. This is insane. And our own indexes show the same thing. Election implications. Today's negative 29 economic confidence index score is closer to what it is or was in mid 1992. It's worse when incumbent President George Herbert Walker Bush lost the election in a campaign dominated largely by economic concerns. When Donald Trump was defeated for a second term in 2020, it was -4. Economic confidence ratings were neutral in 2004. Bush won, and they were neutral in October when incumbents won. They were positive in 96 when Bill Clinton won. Look at this. Every indicator signals that Joe Biden will be defeated in November. And I'm not sure you can do what you did last time and expect the whole damn house of cards not to come crumbling down. How many elections are we going to have with these crazy ass anomalies? At least you could point to 2020 and say, well, confidence was crappy. And I myself will tell you, and me, I'm a straight shooter. I will tell you that COVID in many of our surveys was the number one issue. Economic confidence was not. And Trump's once large lead had dwindled to still a significant one, but it dwindled because he was presiding over the shutdowns, right or wrong. And it is wrong, but right or wrong. What was he going to do? Ignore Dr. Fauci? Ignore Dr. Deborah Birx? Ignore Mike Pence he put in charge, right? Was he going to ignore every single idiot and schmuck? What? The Imperial College study they walked in, put on his desk and said, sir, not only are lots of people going to die, millions of people are going to die, millions of your people are going to die. Isn't it funny that the virus appeared to be completely engineered to target Trump voters and Trump himself? Barnes and I once had this long conversation about this. If you designed a pathogen to kill Republicans and Trump supporters, you would design COVID-19 and make it look like a respiratory illness. I'm just saying. I don't believe in consequences. You can call me whatever you want. I mean, coincidences. I just don't believe in them. All while the Chinese are on their, Donald Trump has a fistful of their hair with them on their knees. Are you kidding me? Phase 2 of the negotiations, they had absolutely no choice but to accept his terms, which they did. And then they just stalled and held out until Biden became president. Now, do you ever ask yourself what happened to the terms in phase 2 of the negotiation over the new terms and trade deal? Has anyone ever asked that question in the media? Hey, what happened to that? Of course not. All right. So with that in mind, this is like all these crazy polls. Trump is closing the gap in New Jersey. Trump is closing the gap in New York. And it's not expected to win, but you just heard Carville, and by the way, he goes on. He goes on and basically says the guy's ahead in every battleground state. Now the peripheral states are in trouble. Let's get real. Minnesota's, the Maines, the Virginias, they're in trouble. If he's going to win all 7, 8, but 7, because New Hampshire's out, but if he's going to win all of these battleground states, you think there's not going to be some state that never falls to fall? That's what happened, and it happens every time. Every time. In 2008, Barack Obama was ahead in every battleground state that they were polling at the time. Nobody thought that Indiana was going to fall. Maybe Missouri would fall, and it was very, very close. Nobody expected Virginia. Well, Virginia, they were polling, and they did that. They did expect that. But North Carolina was, by many, believed to be just a little, not yet. Virginia, because of Nova, sure. But North Carolina, it's a little bit out. Research triangles, it's not enough. He carried it, albeit by a few thousand votes, but supposedly. But there's actual academic studies arguing he did not carry North Carolina. They relied on illegal residents in some parts of the state. And that's not me. I haven't looked at it to say one way or the other. I've looked at the studies, though, and they do sound somewhat convincing. I just never got a chance to go through their primary source material. But my point stands. Every election, when there's somebody that's dominating like this, something falls that nobody expected to fall. Even when Trump was, there was whispers. Everyone thought Hillary was going to win, of course, but there was whispers that Trump is doing a little bit better in some of these Midwest states than any Republican really should be doing. And then that final night, the Ann Seltzer poll, a couple of days, like 48 hours, maybe 24 hours before the election, Trump +7 in Iowa. And I remember Bill Kristol going, oh, shit. That shouldn't be. Bush barely won Iowa. I hope we're not in for a shock here. And then boom, 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 boom. We're sitting there watching Minnesota. It's a hair. New Hampshire, it's a hair. But Michigan was the one that nobody really thought was going to fall. Wisconsin, okay. Scott Walker had won it. Some tough battles. They were able to break up. They were able to, break up and make it a right-to-work state. The power of the unions was greatly diminished. So, okay, I could kind of see Wisconsin. And you know what? Once upon a time, there was a Quinnipiac poll that showed Trump up by 1. Larry Sabato was on TV with his tiny crystal balls, at least saying that Donald Trump is doing better with the white working class. So if he has any prayer, I actually think it's not through the South, it's through the Midwest. Remember that? And for those of you who don't believe me, it's there. Go look it up. So, I mean, there was at least a hint of it, but nobody expected that. Pennsylvania, okay, maybe. Wisconsin, maybe. And actually, Wisconsin was thought to be the easiest one for Trump. And then Michigan, boom, it's gone. Many of these other states are nail biters. The second congressional district in Maine goes. I mean, it always happens. It always happens. Carville knows that. Time is it? 12:30? Hell. All right, we'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, I want to play a clip. Another clip. What do we got on here? There's this gal. That's the other gal. There's something else I want to bring up because I've tried to explain the difference between affiliation and registration a million times. It does suggest some of the data that I want to bring up does suggest that Republicans are going to see a registration surge over the next 6 months. Now, is it written in stone? No, because their ground game sucks and, they're trying to do a little bit better now, which, oh my God, I got to bring up, obviously, how could I have missed that video? But I'll look at it. I'll look for it when we come back because it's so big and we have to bring it up with that. It can't be left unsaid. All right, but before we do, let's take a real quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about that. All right. All right. With everything I was just going over, by the way, everything that's happening in the world, it's no surprise people are looking for a safer place to put their money. Stocks are unpredictable. We were just talking about the stock market. Let's face it, inflation is a huge impact on the value of currencies. And that's why I want to talk to you about one of our sponsors, Freedom Gold USA. If you ever thought about investing in gold or silver, you're just interested in diversifying your portfolio, Freedom Gold USA is definitely a company that you should check out. What I like about them is that they're all about helping you make smart investment choices in precious metals, not about the sale. All right. They believe the more you know, the better. And so they offer you investment guides, free consultations. They give you the information that you need to make confident decisions. And guess what? No pressure. There is no hard sell at Freedom Gold. Now, that's what makes them different, along with the fact that they guarantee their competitive pricing on some of the best quality and purity gold and silver that you'll find. You're getting a solid deal, and you don't have to worry about extra fees. They offer free shipping and insurance. What? On all orders. Plus, you might even get some free silver on qualifying purchases, depending on what you spend. And they give you a $500 credit towards opening a gold or silver IRA. Let's face it, that's a nice bonus. And here's the best part. Dealing with Freedom Gold USA is simple and it's hassle-free. You won't get those pushy sales tactics. They're all about helping you reach your goals in a way that works for you. If you want to learn more, give them a call at 888-279-3592. Numbers on the screen. Or check out the website. The link is in the description of the video, as always. freedomgoldusa.com/rich, like my name. freedomgoldusa.com/rich. And you'll see their special offers, the latest deals that you may qualify for. And let me give you that number again, too, 888-279-3592. Or go to freedomgoldusa.com/rich. Don't wait. Secure your future today. Freedom Gold's the bomb. There are a few of these guys that we have worked with in the past. But again, what really does separate Freedom Gold is that they're not going to be pushy. And look, obviously you invest more, you get a better bonus, but there's no crazy listen, you have to spend this much. Of course, they won't let you if it's not good. There's other places where you can, if you want to do this is for, I'm trying to be nice here, but there's some people, I know some people who go buy a 50-cent piece or something. That's not for you. But these guys are certainly not those other houses that are give me all your money or else. All right, look, here we go. No, should I show this clip? The clip maybe should come first. I think the clip should come first. Let's do the clip first. Yeah. And it's kind of long.
Former President
Bear with
Trump headed to New Jersey tomorrow for a major campaign rally in the Garden State. More than 40,000 supporters expected to turn out. That is in sharp contrast to just 100 people showing up for Biden's rally in Wisconsin on Wednesday. And taking a deeper dive into each candidate's past 6 events shows half of Biden's campaign stops were private fundraisers, while 5 of the last 6 events for Trump were public campaign stops. Joining me now are 3 New Jersey voters, William Atkins, Jeannie Isaacson, and Roy Perret. Thanks to all 3 of you for being here. William, I'll begin with you. What does it mean that Trump can get 40,000 people to attend a rally at the shore 2 weeks before Memorial Day, when we all know in Jersey nobody heads to the shore 2 weeks before Memorial Day?
Well, it means that there's momentum in New Jersey. It means that Trump is paying attention to the numbers. And I just like to give the NJGOP a shout out with this, because they're doing an amazing ground game at registering new party voters.
Let me just pause it right there, because I do think we need to hear this whole segment for a reason. But I'm going to cut in and out because I just don't want to go, full bore with a clip this long. New Jersey, like Pennsylvania, in fact, a few years before Pennsylvania, instituted auto voter registration, to which Republicans lost their minds. I told you that in my lifetime, I have never seen what is happening today, which is that new registrants and low prop voters favor Republicans overwhelmingly. Now, Trump is doing even better with these people than Republicans are generically, or not even generically. If you look at a named candidate for Senate, or, whatever it may be, it's Trump who is driving these people to the polls. Republicans would be incredibly stupid not to take this opportunity to register these people and to get them on the permanent absentee ballot list. You have to make it as easy as possible for them to vote. They are not going to go out. Life happens, all right? If 2020 did not convince you, then how the hell, what were you doing when I was testifying on the stand for Kerry Lake in 22? Did you not see what they did to her? Another 45 minutes of election day voting, and Kerry Lake would have even been able to overcome what they did to her in Maricopa County, all right? It's as simple as that. You can throw a wrench in the election day vote. It's as simple as that. All right. That is an old school Democratic tactic. Poll problems on election day to stop people to vote. They've been doing that to black people for over 100 years. They have that down. Okay. Auto voter registration should not have scared Republicans. Now, a lot of this, I don't know that I would agree with what they're saying, what he's saying. A lot of this is simply organic. You go to the DMV to, renew your license, whatever it may be. They're going to say, listen, you have to check a box and you have to get registered. Your registration expired, whatever it may be. Or, are you registered? You're not registered at all. You have to register. And people are checking the box Republican. And it's very clear in the data and the registration data, which is more static than identification. Identification will come first. And if there's a long-term trend, it will signal a change in registration. And we always see that. Focus on that for a second. I wanted to point that out. All right, let's get back to the clip real quick.
And in New Jersey, over the past few months, we've had double the Republican registrations than Democrat registrations. And so for a blue state, it really puts an emphasis on what could happen in November. And I'd like to look at 2 polls from Washington, another blue state, that have Trump up by 1% and 5% in the November general election.
That's wild.
And so seeing numbers like those and seeing the party registrations in New Jersey and how many people are going to be standing in line to hear from President Trump on Saturday, there's no question why he'd be coming to New Jersey.
All right, listen, for those who did not hear, he's expected to get about 40,000 people in New Jersey, even if he doesn't hit that bar. And remember, don't make the mistake that Ron DeSantis made Trump and company. Do not overhype, because when you don't meet expectations, you could get 38,000 people and they'll say, see, there wasn't as many as they thought. All right. So that is rule number 1. It's a rookie move, rookie era. You do not overhype expectations like Christina Pouchard did and so many times, and all the other people from DeSantis. They hurt their candidate because they're amateurs and they didn't know a very simple basic rule. You don't overhype expectations. All right. But you could say we're expecting a large crowd, because they are. he gets anywhere near that, he gets 20,000 people in New Jersey. And holy crap. That's, I mean, 10, Trump's famous. You can pull 10,000 people in New Jersey. 20,000, 30,000. If he gets 40,000 people in New Jersey, remember the Emerson College poll showed New Jersey was like a 7-point race. If New York is getting much closer, there is a path through like Monmouth and Ocean counties, Atlantic and Mercer. There's like certain areas if you do better in. Of course, you can't get clobbered in Bergen. It's a little closer than some of the other urban areas in New Jersey. You got to keep it close, like Pat Citarelli did. Chris Christie won in a big landslide is for re-election for governor because it was very much, again, all politics are local. Tip O'Neill was talking about governor's races. I mean, he was using the power of the governor's office to build relationships and earn votes. That's the way you win New Jersey. I'm sorry, it's crooked, it's corrupt, so you have to. In the first race against John Corzine, he won by a few points, and that was because of how he did. Jack Citarelli could have done the same thing if they would have helped Jack Citarelli, but they didn't, and he lost by a hair. By the way, he lost the race that he was supposed to lose by 11 points. He lost by a hair. Good job, Patrick, over at Monmouth. For crying out loud, it's your own state. Man, you suck.
I'm going to delve into those numbers in a moment, but I want to stick with the focus on what Trump on the trail means. And when I go to you, Roy, my question is this New York trial really having any impact on what you, your neighbors, family, friends are saying about whether or not they're going to vote for Donald in 2024?
It's not having a negative impact. So if anything, it's going in the opposite because they can't believe that this is happening to a civilized nation. What's happening with a trial is really what you would think would happen either in communism or a third world country. So this, I say, is definitely helping. When he has free time, of course, he has to stay local. He went to the bodegas in Harlem. He's doing things in New York. And 100%, this will help him, I feel, in multiple states. And it's showing already. And New Jersey, I agree, will turn red this time around. As long as
that's a big
they
claim.
can follow up on voter integrity, check out voter IDs, I feel New Jersey will be switching just like many other states out there.
Wow, that is quite a statement. And when you look at the numbers themselves that William alluded to, Jeannie, they are fascinating because the New Jersey GOP has more than double Democrats with registering new voters 2 months in a row now. Here's the actual breakdown of those numbers. Last month, Jersey Republicans registered over 3,000 new voters. Democrats only added 1,000. And in the month of March, New Jersey Republicans had about the same, while Democrats actually lost 300 voters. So, Jeannie, do you think this is random new voters deciding, hey, I've never voted before and I'm going to join the GOP? Or is this the GOP establishment in New Jersey switching Democrat voters who are tired with the way things are going in the Garden State?
Oh, it's definitely a lot of switching going on. I know for sure. I know quite a few Democrats that have now definitely switched. They're not going to be voting for Biden, that's for sure. How could you? I mean, we have so many illegals coming through the border committing these crimes, and here we are with these scandal trials with Trump. I mean, when in history have you ever had a president go through the things that this man is going through? He does not need to put himself through these things. He has more than enough money and time to go live a happy life somewhere than to deal with the things that he's putting himself through for the American people. He's doing it because he loves the American people.
Whoa, wait a second. That looks like one of those suburban women that Trump struggles so much with. I know, look, I was born in New York. I lived in New York and New Jersey, the tri-state area for much of my life before I decided that the South, that I'm going to live in the South because I want to pay lower taxes and I want guns. I mean, I'm saying now. And the people were nicer. It's just a fact. I'm sorry. But New Jersey, I always will have love for them. I mean, I love the shore. I love everything about parts of Jersey anyway. Would love anything to have some time to go to. Oh man, how am I forgetting the name of it? Something. Williams. It's south. It's an old German settlement town. Anyway, Laura and I had things that we used to do, and fish at the I shouldn't say certain things, but there's some even secret little largemouth bass cubbies. I know you wouldn't think about it when you think New Jersey, but it was called the Garden State for a reason. Do you know, like, the world gets like more than 70% of its eggplant from the state of New Jersey. Anyway, this is the kind of voter that you would think, and based on what you hear from the media, that he's going to struggle with. But the fact of the matter is, New Jersey is a great example of a state where there's a lot of people who have totally fallen off the grid. I just brought up some of those, but you have any idea how many potential Trump voters are living in Monmouth County and were not registered and had no reason to get registered, certainly no motivation to get registered. Bush came very close in his reelection in New Jersey in 2004, but close by modern day standards. But he's a Republican in the mold of that kind of Republican. Trump is different, and when you listen to what she's saying, you really can't help but to think maybe they can't count on those votes in Essex the way they used to, and maybe they won't, come out for Biden in droves the way they do. And then you have certain areas. I mean, you think about the Hasidic vote in Lakewood, which is going to go very, very big for Donald Trump. Again, I'm not reaching their conclusions with the bold claims they are. I'm just saying that if there is a huge surprise, I almost think New Jersey would be the surprise before New York would be. I mean, just demographically, it seems to be easier. And there are areas in New Jersey where there's large pockets of Hispanic communities, and they used to be very Democratic. They delivered Bob Menendez very big margins against Huggy, and that's why Huggy ended up not being that competitive. And I just don't think that Biden can rely on those votes in those neighborhoods anymore. So, when you come up to like a surprise, even if he ends up losing it, and it's a state that could be closer than we expect, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a state like New Jersey. Look at like Jackson Township. There are big pockets. There are big Republican pockets. And Jackson's a place where, the last vestige of rural New Jerseyans would go if they were like hunters and they still bow hunt, and they would flock to, where can I go to get away from this? Millstone Township, very wealthy and affluent. By the way, Trump does very well there. He had some slippage with Biden as opposed to Hillary. I mean, you think these neighborhoods, you look at these neighborhoods and you think, oh, those are exactly the kind of neighborhoods that would be talking like her. All right, a lot of them suffered under Bush, and that's why New Jersey got so blue. There were like huge neighborhoods of mini mansions that just were completely foreclosed and emptied when the Great Recession happened. It was not always a Democrat plus 20 state. It just wasn't. Bush, again, it's like we talk a lot about Nevada. Now we heard this Hispanic population in Nevada. Well, I mean, this is a perfect example. Perfect. Let me put her back down. Only it's not Hispanics. It's just white people, All right.
They can try to silence him, but they're never going to silence the American people.
Understood. Sure. Before we let you all go, one important note. Yes, this is a Jersey event, but people in Pennsylvania go to the shore in Wildwood. And so this is a dual
Wildwood.
He gets a huge crowd, potentially could flip Jersey.
That's another perfect town. I didn't even think of that. There are towns in Jersey that very much remind me of like towns in North Carolina, like Morehead City. Only, there's like a church every 2 blocks on Morehead City. And there is in parts of the Jersey Shore. It's just nobody goes to them unless they're Catholic neighborhoods. All right. And then Black Baptists, they're Black Baptists and stuff. Not Southern. They're definitely very different than what you'd see in a Black Southern Baptist church. But that he just said it. I mean, I was looking for other examples. That's a really good example. And Wildwood is where all those kids from that area go to prom and stuff. And I mean, there's a whole party scene there as well. Trump doesn't scare those kind of detached voters or would-be voters. He doesn't scare them like a Mitt Romney would scare them, like a George Bush, like they would say, freaking Bushes. He's totally different. They all go and hang out at the Borgata or Trump his place, his casino in Atlantic City, or did, and they remember that time, in AC. So, I can't, I'm listening to it and I just can't help but to give it a little bit of credibility. And then after they're done here, which is very soon, we're going to look at some other data, which is like, you can't build that kind of a number without something being a shocker. And I'm not saying it's going to last. I'm just saying, like, this is the current state of things,
But it is also a way to really solidify a status with a swing state in Pennsylvania. That needs to be noted as well. William, Jeannie, and Roy, have a great weekend. Enjoy the state where all three of your next people talking on TV are from, Carly and Joe. Carly?
All right, there it is. And goodbye to them. Thank you for doing a panel with Fox that I could bring up and point out. All right. Yeah, we got time. Let me bring this up here. So here's Gallup's party identification tracking. All right. This is considerable. And we're looking at it right now, and there's without the leans, which Gallup does, they lean their independence. Without those leans in politics, as of today, do you consider yourself a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent? I find it funny that they get so many independents in this tracking and have for many years. Other polls do as well. I've seen Fox get some large independent leads. We just don't. But again, our question is slightly different. It's worded as follows. Generally speaking, do you consider yourself a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, or something else? All right. So we do have a little bit different wording that we use. Is that fully responsible for it? I don't know. I'm more inclined to believe that it's probably something that has to deal with how the mode itself, the mode of data collection. I think that's probably more the cause of this. The same thing when it comes to the Fox poll. You've noticed since they changed their methodology, they haven't found numbers like that. All right, it's more in line with ours, and that's because they're now doing mixed modes and doing modes that they once called low quality and experimental and not credible, right? That's what they called it for many years until they thought, wow, he's better than us. Let me steal his methodology or try to steal it anyway. Look, they got 45% off the rip. Last time they asked in March of 2020, and that's not the last time. It's just they're doing every 2-year trend here. But the last time it was March in 2020, that was 41%. Republicans were at 30, so they're actually lower now. And Democrats were at 28. So it was R+2 from the beginning, okay? But independents had broke back in March of 2024, excuse me. And it was more favorable to Democrats at the time. You'd have to go back to they don't go back that far. But here's with the leaners. Last time it was D+1. The time before that, D+1. The time before that, D+3. The time before that, R+1. This is huge. It's R+7. It was R+8 in November of 2023, but we really had no election to weigh that against, so there's not much we could do. But that's a significant deal. In the November it was November 9th through December, it was R+5. It was R+6 in October when Republicans won the national popular vote in the House. So it's actually, whoops, and that's spam, of course. What the hell? I should have turned that off. It's actually slightly more favorable to Republicans now than it was then. Now Republicans did underperform. They won the national popular vote in the House by a couple of points. They were able to take that puppy, but they underperformed in their Senate races in key states where they needed to do better. However, Trump, in those polls that we were doing, he did not. He was doing significantly better than them. So, Adam Laxalt's locked in a really close race, right? Not Trump. He's got like a 9-point lead. Walker locked in a tight race. Not Trump. He's got like a 9 to 11-point lead. Oz in a tight race with a guy who can't speak. Not Trump. He's up by 7. Right? And we can keep going. Even in Arizona, where it looked like Republicans could win the governor's race, and they did win the governor's race, I'm just saying. But Blake Masters was struggling against Kelly for a while. Not Trump. He was up by 7. Right? What else? What other state? I didn't poll Michigan personally. Wisconsin. Ron Johnson led anywhere between 3. I think it was 3 was our last one. Does anybody know? Not Trump, right? So, and we had Johnson up by 5 at one point. I just don't remember the last one was. But again, Trump outperformed them everywhere. So even if you account for their underperformance, Trump would still win those states, right? Because he was doing so much better. So in the end, Carrie Lake barely lost, right? Barely. And she was up by 3.7. Well, Trump was up by 6. He would have won Arizona anyway. Even with that electorate, a much more educated Republican electorate, he still would have won. So that is the current state. Man, 12:57 already? I had an article I wanted to read. I am going to read still. And then I will go back and we'll hit some of these questions. Again, so my point is this does kind of foreshadow a registration trend that follows because Republicans have been on one. We just went back a couple of years, right? And if they would have went back even further, back to 2016, you would have seen that generally speaking, it still is headed in Republicans' favor while there are ups and downs. Identification is fluid and registration is static. Identification will change over time, but registration may not. If that trend holds and the pattern's consistent over a longer period of time, we would expect to see registrations eventually start to inch and follow. If this keeps up, then that segment on Fox was a legit segment, right? And it was legit either way. I mean, people's opinions are always legit, but, well, they may be right or wrong, but their opinions are still their opinions. Point being, something we're going to have to keep an eye on over 6 months because you don't lead in the 7-8 biggest battleground states for over a year. You don't lead in the national popular vote, whether it's tiny or 3 points or 2 or 1 point. You don't lead for over a year and then just win those states. Something else is going to fly up on us. All right. That's just going to happen. And I'll have to keep an eye on it. Interesting that it's New Jersey. Interesting that it could be, I would say, New Jersey. Because we've talked about this. There have been registration gains for Republicans in New Jersey after auto registration, motor voter. So, all right. 12:59. Yeah, let's take another break, and we'll have to take one more at some point throughout the rest of this. But listen, if you're struggling with tax debt, you got to listen up. Is the IRS breathing down your neck? If you owe taxes and you don't know where to turn, we got the answer for you. It's definitely Tax Relief Helpers. Tax Relief Helpers is a team of experienced tax attorneys, enrolled agents, accountants. They've been resolving tax issues for over 20 years. They have seen it all. You're not going to stump them. You need a team like this on your side to stop the nasty letters, the wage garnishments, the audits even. Here's how it works. You just start with a private consultation at no cost to you. Then they'll do a thorough tax debt report to see what the IRS sees. They even have a special insider phone line to the IRS to help speed things up. Tax Relief Helpers will build your case. They'll save you time and endless paperwork. And they're tough negotiators. So tough, they even have their competitors hire them. The best part is they will get results. They get results. Remember, tax problems don't resolve themselves. Call Tax Relief Helpers today and start your journey toward that tax resolution. The number is on the screen, but let me read it to you. 888-508-5797. Again, that's 888-508-5797. Or visit them at taxreliefhelpers.com. When you fill that out, tell them Rich sent you. Tell them the People's Pundit sent you. Even when you call them, tell them the People's Pundit sent you. Again, that's taxreliefhelpers.com, taxreliefhelpers.com. Don't wait. Go to the website, give them a call now, get your life back on track, and leave the tax troubles behind. It's not the end of the world. They absolutely can help you, is my point. All right. All right. And it really isn't. It's just intimidating. The IRS is intimidating. And people get those letters, they get scared. And, there are a lot of people don't realize there are places to turn. And even if you do see them, who do you trust? These guys are the real deal. I'm telling you, they'll get it ironed out. All right. Oh, how could I have forgotten? There is obviously one key. There is one ingredient in this formula for Republicans that absolutely cannot be missing. All right. I'm talking about this get out the vote formula. Yes, there are all these would-be voters out there for Republicans. There are currently now a ton of Republicans who, look, life happens. Yes, they like to vote on election day, but it is stupid to leave so many voters on the table until election day. You cannot expect to do something your enemy does in 8-10 hours when they had 8-10 weeks to do it. Maybe more. States like Minnesota, they'll be voting before you know it. And by the way, in 2016, there were tons of polling, not just ours. Other people did it too. If they would have known about that last gambit with Hillary Clinton, they would not have voted for Hillary Clinton. It's too late. Your ballot's out. So you got to operate within the parameters of the system that is available to you. Later, when you get power, you don't like it, change it. But you don't have the power to change it right now, so you have to operate within it. And that one ingredient, because it won't work, it will not work unless you have the man telling those people that it's okay. It matters whether the leaders of a party are implementing a certain strategy or not. Democrats were implementing early vote strategies. Their voters listened to them. Republicans, their leaders, their party, they did not tell Republicans it's all right to vote. In fact, they said, if you vote early, they're going to rig it. I'm not telling you it's a perfect system. I'm not. But I am telling you that you cannot win if you don't operate within it if you're a Republican. So, if you don't have the man himself helping all of these people who are getting out the vote, it's not going to matter. You're going to go to these people and they're going to say, what's the point? They're just going to rig it, right? If you go to these people who do already, they're registered, and you want them to get on the permanent mail-in ballot list because they're low-prop voters, and you go to them, I'm telling you, we've studied these people now ad nauseum for 13 months, even more. Because really, the studying of them started in 2020, when we were the only ones asking, how do you intend to vote? And why? So we knew there would be this monstrous election day vote for Trump. We knew that because we had been studying when nobody else did. But these low-prop voters, they're going to tell you, most of them, right? And of course, in statistics, you're going to speak in generalities. There's nothing else you can do. So I'm not saying every single person, but most of the people who are low prop, when you ask them, why don't you vote? They will tell you the system's rigged. Or when they're not registered, a lot of them will say the system's rigged. When they're low prop and you say, get on the absentee ballot list, they will say it's not safe. It's not a reliable or safe way to vote. Even 4 out of 4 Republican voters will tell you that. So you need, why? Where did they get that from? The mouths of their leaders. And I'm not saying it's not, even true to some extent, but they need the green light in order to do it. So this video yesterday was huge.
Absentee voting, early voting, and election day voting are all good options. Republicans must make a plan, register, and vote. We've got to get crooked Joe Biden out of office. We've got to elect Republicans, and we're going to do it. We're going to have the greatest victory in the history of our country. Thank you very much. God bless you.
All right, I don't want to give up the details of privileged conversations, but that, too big to rig, the other one, right? Swamping them, right? We've heard all these different words. He's listening. He's got it. He's got it. He's getting it. Or he was getting it. Now he's got it. And he's listening. Republicans need that. They need Trump more. Not one video. One video is not going to get to a great start, and it's huge. But it's not enough. So, if you want me, for instance, to text all of the hunters who are modeled 50% or more likely to vote for Donald Trump and aren't registered in the state of Michigan, for instance, can I get that video, please? And by the way, you better use somebody like me who's got AI tech and true HD, because nobody's going to look at an ugly, grainy-ass video on their text message, all right? That has to be constantly drilled in their heads. Well, I don't want to give up a secret formula on that stuff is money, dude. Forget it. I'm serious. I'm serious. That information costs money. I'm sorry. It does. But you need more than one point of contact. The president's Twitter feed or Truth Social feed could be counted, I guess, as one. I would not count it as one. However, that video, fantastic. Fantastic. And now use it and follow up with many, many, many more, because they will listen to Trump. Especially these, forget about low prop. No, we got a new term for it in one of the groups I'm working with. We call them no prop. It's not low propensity, it's no propensity. They will listen to Donald Trump. This group will. And look, if you don't believe me, go look at the Suffolk, which is done for USA Today, of the unlikely voter polls. Of the unlikely voter. It's called the unlikely voter poll. Trump is their guy. He's the only one they will listen to. The only one. And even still, they're like, yeah, I love Trump and I want him to be president and I would vote for him, but I'm not voting because the system's rigged. They need Trump to tell them that he needs to say something along the lines of, we can make it too big to rig, but we need your help. We need you to do this. We're going to make it super easy on you. We're going to make your life so easy. We're going to make the task that we're asking you to do so easy, it's barely going to be an inconvenience. And you know what? If they rig it, they rig it. But at least you tried. And by the way, you say it a lot differently than that. I mean, that's the point. But you give them something to look forward to. And it sounds a little bit corny, but you give them hope that they can overcome a system that they think is just totally rigged against them. They will listen to Donald Trump. Many of them, most of them will. And you don't need all of them, but you get a significant number of them and it's over. We can all go home at 11 o'clock at night, Eastern Standard Time. Okay? Wouldn't that be nice? Or maybe 11:30, because we do have Central Time states we need to wait on. You got the Upper Peninsula in Michigan. It is what it is. All right, let me take a quick 30-second break to take some drink, and I'm not going to lie to you, a puff. And we'll be back. You're watching Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. Don't forget to like the videos if you like them. Share them far and wide. Share them far and wide. And we'll be back with some more about Trump's the implosion of the lawfare effort to get Donald Trump. Look, I don't particularly read her that much anymore, but I do, but it's like I don't go run to her to read her. It's not a staple like she used to be before she kind of went off the rails her damn self. But I think it's still worth. She's one of those people I'll still look at, and if Real Clear Politics has her linked up there, then I'll certainly read it and see what the deal is, especially if the headline they put up has something that I think is worthwhile to read, which this one certainly does. Okay, so in a nutshell, here we go. This is Trump and the lawfare implosion of 2024, and this will give a good rundown on so far everything that's done. Remember, while Jack Smith was not the first one to charge Trump, he was the first one to kick it all off and basically give it a green light when he raided the president's home in Mar-a-Lago, which was, talk about crossing a Rubicon. Just absolutely unbelievable. All right. So what's the old saying about the best laid plans? Democrats banked that a massive lawfare campaign against Donald Trump would strengthen their hold on the White House As the legal assault founders, they are left holding the bag known as Joe Biden. All right. So this is, let me just elaborate on that. People always said, and by the way, don't forget to watch the reality check with Dr. Gorka on Sunday on Newsmax at 7. I'll be on. All right. So we're talking about this. In fact, they really didn't think they had to remove Joe Biden because they thought the lawfare was going to work. It would have been very difficult to remove Joe Biden. It would have caused an internal civil war. You're going to remove the first non-white female vice president from the list because she's ugly? I mean, because she's unpopular. Ladies and gentlemen, you call that a Freudian slip. I'm sorry. And, maybe she's not even particularly ugly on the outside, but inside is where I'm coming from here, But I'm sorry. I have zero respect for women who behave like Kamala Harris behaved to get herself where she is today. I don't want my daughter to do that. And anything it's just disgusting. It's disgusting. She's disgusting. Men as well. Whatever. I don't want my son to behave like that to get to the top. All right. But I don't know. Maybe it's wrong and it's still a little bit chauvinistic. Maybe it's the result of a patriarchal, dominated society. But it's particularly disgusting when a woman does what, she didn't earn the name Heels Up Harris for nothing. You feel me? All right. It's just gross. It's just gross. And I don't want my daughter. I don't want her ass on Nickelodeon talking to the kids. All right. She's not a role model. I don't want her ass on Disney. I don't need that. I don't need that. Your kids don't need that. All right. Anyway, you can't leapfrog her for Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer or any of them. It would cause an absolute meltdown in the Democratic Party. There are people who are still loyal to her and thought she was going to be a fantastic president when she decided she was going to run for president. They thought that she would appeal to people. Nate Silver wrote an entire article on 538 about how she's going to win the white working class vote. It was outrageous. My God. Anyway, so that's what she's talking about. They chose not to go through that display, what would have been a very public display. They chose not to risk the internal cracks that would have most assuredly developed. And instead, they decided they were going to destroy and dismantle our justice system and our way of life in order so Donald Trump could lose this election to Joe Biden. And it's not working. And now they are stuck. They're stuck with him. They cannot do, the rules are so they're convoluted, and we don't have to get into the weeds on them. I have talked about them before. It would be a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. It can't be done. They have to just live with the decision that they made, and that's all there is to it. And it blows for them, but it is what it is. It is what it is. All right. In Florida on Tuesday, it's just too much. It really is. In Florida on Tuesday, Judge Eileen Cannon postponed indefinitely the start of the special counsel Jack Smith's classified documents trial. We talked about it. The judge noted the original date, May 20th, is impossible, given the messy stack of pretrial motions on her desk. The prosecution is fuming. And while the press insinuates or baldly asserts that the judge is biased for Mr. Trump, incompetent or both. But it is Mr. Smith and his press gaggle who are living in legal unreality, attempting to rush the process to accommodate a political timeline. What did they expect? Mr. Smith waited until 2023 to file legally novel charges involving classified documents, a former president, and a complex set of statutes governing presidential records. The pretrial disputes, some sealed for national security reasons, involve weighty questions about rules governing the admission of classified documents in criminal trials, discovery, scope, and even whether Mr. Smith's appointment as special counsel was lawful. Again, this is like she listened to Inside the Numbers the other day, right? Is it not? It sounds like she was listening to Inside the Numbers because these are all valid arguments. What the hell were they thinking? They were thinking, we'll rush it. We'll rush it. You can't do that. It's not going to work. Give me a break. Mr. Smith's indictments in the District of Columbia alleging, oh, wait, I'm sorry. I didn't finish this. Judge Cannon notes that the courts have a duty to fulfill and fairly consider all of these, which she believes will take at least until July. This could push any trial beyond the election. Mr. Smith's indictment, and by the way, there will be other things that are decided on before then. What about the immunity case? Right? And the pressure will be overwhelming. Looks like in Arizona, I forgot to even tell you this. It looks like when they leveled those charges in Arizona against alternate electors, which is their constitutional right to do. I don't understand where the hell this is coming from. Democrats have done this before. Nobody charged them. But when they did that, they were prepared to try Donald Trump, to charge Donald Trump too. And apparently, straight from the top, from the Biden White House, they said, no, this is backfiring on us. You don't add more. By the way, Fani Willis, she didn't listen. That's why there's this case in Georgia. They were furious that she brought these charges. At least at the time she did. She jumped Jack Smith. And now she's an idiot. I mean, look at her now. Mr. Smith's indictments in the District of Columbia alleging that Mr. Trump plotted to overturn the 2020 election has separately gone to the Supreme Court, where the justices are determining whether and when a former president is immune from criminal prosecution for acts while in office. A decision on the legal question is expected in June, whereupon the case will likely return to the lower courts to apply it to the facts. They may also mean no trial before the election. I mean, they almost assuredly mean that. Even if they do limited immunity, which they must do to protect the institution, to protect the office of the president will be a eunuch. The office itself will be a paper tiger. It'll be nothing. It'll be a token job. They will have effectively taken away your only representative in the big, bloated, and very powerful executive branch. 1/3 of our separation of powers. They will have taken all of your say out of the equation if they do not find the president is immune from prosecutions. President will constantly govern, worried about whether or not his political opponents or her political opponents will come after them later for what they've done. They'll do the wrong thing when it's easy. They'll never do the hard thing when it's right. It will be completely taken over by special interests, by the corrupt bureaucrats who are, well, basically like stock jobbers, as they used to call them back in the founders' days in the pamphlets. They'll all be jumping up and down with tickets in their hand, selling off power in the executive branch to the highest bidder. It will be the end of the republic itself. They have got to rule in favor of Donald Trump. If they don't, it's all over. I'm sorry. I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you. If the Supreme Court does not rule in favor of Donald Trump in the immunity case, this shit is done. Pack up your bags and go home. It's over. It's already a battle between the elected sovereign who represents the true sovereign, the voter in the country. It's already a battle between them and this corrupt state that doesn't recognize your authority. That's the lesson of the Trump presidency. If people didn't take away all but one thing from the first Trump presidency, that's what they should have taken away. Just that alone would have been good enough. They don't give a damn about your opinion. It's meaningless to them. And they don't recognize your authority. They don't recognize the authority of your appointed sovereign, because that's what he is. Or she. in the event it's a woman. They are there to make sure the executive branch acts the way the voter wants them to act. And then uphold the law. If it's not, then what the fuck is the point? Pardon my French. The idea of the separation of powers is very simple. And you don't vest too much power in one place. They'd have it all. They already used the 17th Amendment to screw the legislature. The legislative branch is corrupted beyond repair until that damn amendment is replaced. You think you're voting for somebody. You're not. It's called rational ignorance. I coined it in 2013. You're too busy. Most of us are too busy. It's not our fault. It's the life that they've made for us. You do not have the time to do what a state legislator's job is to do. There's nothing wrong with the way we pick the Senate. Now that's screwed because once average tenure exploded in the Senate thanks to the special interest rent seekers buying their asses in the seats. The House followed. It was like a tone from the top kind of pattern. It was weird and awful for the country. And a huge, huge, huge dent in what was supposed to be a republic. A huge weakening of your power. It may sound funny, but you actually have more power voting for your state legislature who then pick your senator than you do voting directly for your senator. They got you all over the place, man, in different directions. They got you exactly where they want you, confused and busy. But your neighbor, Keith Perry, the local guy, we all know him. He's had a roofing company in Gainesville for years. In Alachua County, he's a good boy with a good wife and a good family and a good business that their family business, they work their asses off for it. I may not know everything about what's going on in D.C. and who we'd want to ship to D.C. to be our representative in the U.S. Senate, but I know Keith, and Keith will do the right thing. And if Keith's ass doesn't do the right thing, I'm going to vote him out anyway. It was designed that way for a reason. They take the executive away from us too? Then it's over. There's no point. The court has got to rule for this man. It's not just for him. It's the future of the office of the presidency. Pretty big deal. This is a landmark case. A Georgia appeals court this week decided it would review whether Fulton County District Attorney Big Fannie Willis can continue leading a racketeering case against Mr. Trump in light of the conflict presented by a romantic relationship with the former special prosecutor. This is disgusting. Everybody knows this. Why is everybody afraid to just say it out loud? This woman has the worst reputation. Get caught with a kilo, that's all right. If she finds you attractive, you work something out. Everybody knows the stories. Why isn't anybody saying anything? Because she's a black woman who's got that position? Is that how we do things now? Big Fanny's banging her way into power. She is the leader of a racket. She's got the balls to charge somebody with racketeering. She is a racket. Everything about her is a racket. Give me back the mob. Thanks, Rudy. Great job. I'm sorry, man. I'm not kidding. I'm not friggin' joking. Thanks, Rudy, for the racketeer for RICO statutes. Really. For the use of RICO statutes. I'd rather be run by the Gambino crime family than these pieces of shit. Alvin Bragg, Fannie Willis. I'm not kidding. Think about it. Who's more dangerous? It's not even close. The trial judge is unlikely to proceed while this major issue is pending, and the appeals process could take up to 6 months, which leaves the Lawfare crowd's last best hope in Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's muddled charges on that Trump 2016 hush money deal with adult film star Stormy Daniels. That case was a mess well before Judge Juan Merchan allowed Ms. Daniels to provide the jury Kama Sutra-worthy descriptions of her claimed sexual tryst with Mr. Trump, during which she insinuated, is the word you're looking for there, Kimberly. Not intimated, but insinuated would have been a more appropriate word. Several times that the encounter was non-consensual. So this skank went from, he didn't do anything, he was such a pleasure. Listen, look. She went from that to he raped me in a trial that's not about rape. It's unbelievable. I'm not denying this fair because of hush money. I'm denying it because it never happened. Look at this. 20 days earlier. Listen to this. When I met Donald Trump, he was gracious, professional, and a complete gentleman to me and everyone in my presence. Stormy definitely comes from the generation of girls where it's like, he raped me. The fake rape allegation generation. I'm not kidding. The Tawanas, you know what I'm talking about, guys. You know what I'm talking about. The Tawanas of the world. You all went to school with them. And any guy who sits on that jury, you want to call yourself a man with a penis, you better think long and hard about the repercussions of, rendering a guilty verdict in a case like this. By the way, it has nothing to do with sexual assault. Nothing. Whatsoever. They have to do this, though, and prejudice the jury because the legal precedent is not in their favor. I was going to play this clip by Turley on Hannity. Maybe I will still, although I'm going to interrupt him constantly. But this is crazy. We don't have time. It's 1:28. We'll get to your questions first. This is just insane. Mr. Trump is charged with falsifying records, not sexual assault. And even the judge acknowledged that the jury heard things that would, quote, have been better left unsaid, unquote. He tried to, and by the way, then she joked about it. I got raped, but guess what? Joke 1, joke 2, joke 3. Who the hell sits on the trial? Who the hell sits on the bench, on the witness stand and jokes about being raped? He tried to blame the defense for not objecting enough during her testimony. It's the judge's job to keep witnesses on task. Judge Merchan refused a Trump request for a mistrial, but his openness to issuing a limited obstruction to the jury, essentially in order to unhear prejudicial testimony that you cannot unhear, is an acknowledgement that things went off the rails. If Mr. Trump is convicted, it is a strong argument for reversal on appeal. If he is convicted, this will be appealed. This is we went over this. I'm not going to revisit it. We went over this earlier on the show this week. That is irreversible error. This is a mistrial, period. The question is, can they just get ideologically possessed jurors to overlook everything they don't like, everything they know is wrong, and just, convict him because? I wouldn't even be surprised if there's like reverse witness tampering going on. The defense, in these, high profile cases, whether it's a mob boss or something like that, they're always trying to intimidate witnesses, maybe bribe them. I would not be surprised if we find out that Alvin Bragg's team and that whole district is so corrupt. I wouldn't be surprised if they find out somehow later that these jurors were compensated in some way for a guilty verdict. Nobody, after what I've heard and saw today or this week, after what I heard, nobody should be ever found guilty in a trial like this, in a case like this. Is crazy. Little in short is going as planned. The lawfare strategy for the start, pile on Mr. Trump in a way that ensured Republicans would rally to his nomination, then use legal proceedings to crush his ability to campaign, drain his resources, and make him too toxic or isolated in prison to win a general election. He won the nomination, but the effort against him is flailing, courtesy of an echo chamber of anti-Trump prosecutors and journalists who continue to indulge the fantasy that every court, judge, jury, and timeline exists to dance to their partisan fervor. These goals are there. These own goals are striking. Mr. Smith wouldn't be facing delays if he'd acknowledged up front the important constitutional question of presidential immunity. He didn't give a shit. Let's be honest. He doesn't give a shit about presidential immunity. He doesn't care about attorney-client privilege. He doesn't care if the Fourth Amendment survives his persecution. He doesn't care about any of it. All he cared about was following orders, which he will be compensated for in the future. What, mark my words, generously, and the timing was explicitly chosen for a political impact. Or if he'd sought an indictment for obstruction of justice and foregone charging Mr. Trump when improperly handling classified documents, which gets into legally complicated territory. The federal charges might carry more weight with the public had Mr. Bragg refrained from bringing a flimsy case that makes the whole effort look wildly partisan. Oh my God, makes it look, Kimberly, makes it look wildly partisan, Kimberly. It's statements like this that enable these people. You don't treat this as credible at all because it is not. You don't lend it any credibility whatsoever because it has none. Fucking Murdoch Inc. And Mrs. Willis's romantic escapades have turned her legal overreach into a reality TV joke. By the way, also you forgot to mention her admission on the stand that she actually committed a campaign finance violation. Stacks of money from the campaign laying around, mixed in with other money. Who the hell does this? Why? Because I'm a black woman and I stack money under my bed. I don't give a damn what the hell your culture says to do with you. I'm asking you why you're mingling illegally appropriated funds with campaign finance funds, which now you cannot account which one is which. If you ever admitted something like that on the stand, any of you running for office, I know there's a ton of people who do watch the show. If you ever admitted something like that on the stand, your ass would have been charged 24 hours later. So far, the only people I see who committed a felony in any of this is Fannie Willis and Stormy Daniels. One appears to be embezzling money. The other one is guilty of extortion. I'm sure if I look deep enough at Jack Smith, I could find crimes with him too. Democrats faced a critical choice last year. Try to win an election by confronting the real problem of a weak and old president presiding over an unpopular far-left policies, or try to rig an outcome again, by the way, it should be again, Kimberly, after that word, by embracing a lawfare stratagem. They chose the latter. Perhaps the court will still convict Mr. Trump of something, although that could play either way with the electorate. Lawfare as politics is a very risky business. No, it's the end of our republic. That's what it is. It's the end of our republic, Kimberly. It's a risky business. So unserious about it. A president could face the rest of his friggin' life behind bars because of corruption, because of Stasi-like tactics that are not supposed. What did we win the Cold War for? What was the point? Why did we send all those men to Vietnam for your crap-ass domino theory the Wall Street Journal pushed? Why? What was the point? If we're all just going to become Soviet anyway, why did we do any of it? Should have let them have the damn Southeast Asian sphere of influence. Should have given it to them. You risk nuclear war stopping those missiles from going to Cuba. Why? You're all acting like Castro. Who gives a shit? What's the point? 3 pins in my hip for nothing. Nothing. Thinking about this with Parnell the other day on his show. You guys all watch Battleground. You've heard his stories. Did you hear the last one? Why did his battle buddy take a bullet to the cranium? For what? For what? There was no point in any of it. If this kind of stuff is going to be credible or deemed credible, it's totally pointless. We know better. I'm sick of hearing about how corrupt Vladimir Putin is. How Vladimir Putin rigs elections. He doesn't need to rig to win. The guy is massively popular in his country. I hate to bust your bubble. He doesn't need to rig the election in his country or in Eastern Ukraine because they freaking love him. He doesn't need to rig elections. You know, it's like the projection factor is just totally out of control at this point. I never want to hear another bitch from the State Department whining about how this country didn't conduct their election with integrity. This one is, kills their political opponents, prosecutes their political opponents. Joe Biden has more people in prison that oppose him right now because they oppose him than fucking Vladimir Putin does. Add it up. What was the point? What was the point of it all? I do not know. What a disgrace. All right. 159. Did I miss anything? Tax relief number? Right? I don't think so. You guys see that? Wait. I can do it. Oh, come on. There we go. Isn't that the bubble thing come up? How do I do it? I got to go through the instructions. They sent them to me. I only glanced at them. There's got the easy ones, Got to be a little lighthearted after that because this shit ain't funny. You know what I mean? Stuff ain't funny, guys. It's really not. Let's get rid of the playoffs. The playoffs suck. I don't care about any of that. Could care less. Honestly, I found myself in a place that's so unfun. I had to go to a concert for the kid from school, and people in my neighborhood. Of course, we're a community here, and everybody knows everybody. Talking about football, and we love football, and college football I like even better. But I find myself not even wanting to pay attention to this stuff. Like it's just they've sucked the joy out of everything. Like I feel like if I watch a football game, they're succeeding in distracting me from doing, from like oversight. You know what I'm saying? I really do feel like that. They've killed the joy in everything. It's awful. All right, Dan, let's get to you. Question on locals. Hold on, Dan. You don't mind if I take a quick puff, do you? Hang on 1 second, buddy. By the way, Dan, you going to be at book club this week? You know how bad my voice hurt without you there to help me? Neither one of you were there. Catherine wasn't either. My voice was killing me, boy. Come on. Also, tell you another thing. Anybody writing a book who wants to put out an audio version of it, best call Dan. He's got the best narrator voice. I'm serious. I'm not joking. I kid you not. All right. Let's get to Dan's question. No question this week. What? Just putting down a tip for the bartender? What? Looking forward to the show and book club on Sunday. Nice. Sorry, Dan, I don't see the whole thing. The early chapters of The Emerging Populist Majority are great. Yeah. For those who don't know, we're reading now The Emerging Populist Majority by, of course, Troy Olson and Gavin Wax. Troy has actually graced us with his presence in the book club a couple of times. I don't blame him for not doing it this time. It's his book. I probably would not. I would not. I mean, that's crapping on modesty to a whole other level. If somebody was reading my book and I'm popped in like, hey, I'm here to read my own book with you. I don't know. I mean, unless I was invited or something, it would be weird. But it is definitely different, Dan, than the two that preceded it. It was obviously in the same in the same mold, because very different schools of thought, but in the same mold. Of course, Kevin Phillips is the originator of that mold, the emerging Republican majority, written in 1969, right? And Rui Teixeira and John Judas would later write the emerging Democratic majority in the early 21st century. And that, of course, would give a hat tip to Kevin Phillips, who died as we were reading the book. He died recently, by the way. It gave a hat tip to him by acknowledging, his nomenclature that he created, right? His vocabulary, the way he talks about these things, right? The megalopolis, the Yankee versus non-Yankee, right? Yankeedom versus non-Yankeedom. He made all of this, the impact of not just race, but ethnicity and national origin, and I would add to that religion as well. I'm shocked nobody has yet, which is what my half. One of the entire chapters that was my half of the book with Barnes, which was going to be called The Emerging Populist Majority. That's the political maturation of ethnic Catholics is the name of that chapter. And I'm shocked that nobody's also added that to it. But thank you very much, Dan. They are very good. And I thank you for your tip. You got a question, always send it over, buddy. I'm looking forward to it too. So I'm glad you'll be there. It's never the same without you. I understand, life and other things. We're happy to have you back. All right, Dweezy. It's really Dweej, but that guys ever see, what is it? Be Cool? Be Cool? John Travolta, right? Yeah, it's Be Cool. It's a sequel to I don't know, but Chili Palmer, right? Old character. Vince Vaughn and The Rock are in the sequel. Every time I see these names, I think about Vince Vaughn, Wheezy. Wheezy. Come on. He's too good. Him and The Rock were fantastic. The Rock plays an aspiring actor entertainer, because he can sing and dance too, who's gay. Big dude, with this afro. And he's so funny. And he's supposed to be friends with Vince Vaughn's character. And eventually he gets mad and wants to kill him. And he's chasing around Vince Vaughn. And he's so funny. He's trying to keep him from kicking his butt. So he starts acting, like a fool to make him laugh. And Eweezy is just epic. I should clip that one day and bring it on. Anyway, Cerno has been saying the deep state has told Trump they will allow him to win, and that's why Trump has been posting about Mike Johnson and the FBI. I personally think Trump is just running a general election campaign, not terminally online Twitter. What do you think? That's a big and very bold claim. They don't want Donald Trump to win. I don't know what he's talking about. They will kill Donald Trump if he doesn't pick somebody who is and by the way, I've noticed Mike following what I have been saying, and I've been saying it for months. And I'll never forget when Jack Posobiec said, Rich Barris, the People's Pundit, said, he was interviewing Tucker, and he's like, Rich Barris, the People's Pundit, said that if Trump doesn't pick a VP that, is like him, or that isn't an acceptable replacement, if he doesn't do that, then they'll kill him. And Tucker's face is like, most people would react in media like, well, that's just insane, even though of course it's not insane. We've killed our own president before, twice, and the deep state killed one, and they'll do it again, and they'll get someone to do it for them. But if Trump doesn't pick a VP person that is his insurance policy against that, he'll be dead within 6 months. First they will try to do something like remove him. And if it doesn't work in some fashion with the Russia hoax 3.0 or whatever it may be that they come up with, then they'll get some nutcase. Like, I'm not going to say his name because I'm not going to give him any notoriety, but they'll give him some nutcase like the nut who shot Steve Scalise and 4 others. They'll give them the motive, the opportunity, and the ability. That's really opportunity, but they'll give them the motive and opportunity to do it, and they'll get them. That's how they work. They never get some dark ops snipers, CIA special ops trained to go on a rooftop and put a bullet in the president's head. That's not how it works. They get some sucker, they mark some asset sucker, and they go after them, and they'll find it. They'll do it. So I've noticed Cerno understands that to be true. So I don't know how the hell both of those reconcile. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that you have Trump saying some things in an effort to not lose some of the more squishy middle that he is winning in the polls right now. Same goes for the vax stuff. I understand where Robert's coming from, but I don't think we're going to find out, by the way. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but we're doing a real big study. And we're going to find out what the truth is of it. But I know that the Trump's thinking is that he can't go total anti-vax and against, and agree with RFK because, that those suburban women that we were talking about, I mean, I really not that. So at the moment, he's doing better with them than he's ever done. So he doesn't want to give that up. All right. I don't think that. I don't think there's some secret meeting the deep state said will allow you to win. They don't want Donald Trump to win. Period. End of story. End of story. And right now, much of it still is beholden as some stuff with Joe Biden. Joe Biden's not like letting go of power, even if they tried to push him aside, because his own family, including his son, is very much at risk from the state and from the legal system. So he's holding on to power as a means to protect his family. So I don't see that at all. At all. Is Ryan. Exactly. So do we Eweezy, right? I'm with you. This is a general election campaign. That's what he's doing. Ryan. Hey, Rich, for the past month, I have been running voter registration and voter outreach ops for the Minnesota GOP. Last year, the state passed permanent absentee ballots. So from listening to you and Pressler, we should be embracing this new tool of permanent absentee ballots. Yes. Yes, you should. All right. Not every state isn't going to be the same, but you should, because even in, you know what? Let's go here. Let's here. Go to big data poll. This is worth doing. Let's go to big data poll. Let's go to blog. Every state, every area should be different, but generally the answer to that is yes. And I know that everybody wants another poll in Minnesota, but again, while I'm looking for what I'm looking for, I really got to bring up how much has been spent on polling that was not in the budget. And I really, really would like the polling project to kick back up a little bit more, because it's just not there yet. The funds are not there yet. We could do Michigan. All right. Even Georgia's still only 30-something% funded. I got to go and take a look. Let me look at it right now. Well, I want to give you the answer to that. So give me 1 second. Let's see. Georgia's actually, it's 39%. The national poll is 22%. We're real low, guys. So the idea of adding something else is just not feasible at this minute, even though I want to badly. I made my decision after seeing my bill. And then also too, part of it is I'm not going to do what happened in 22, which is overextend ourselves to the point where we can't have final polls for everything. Why? Because my enemies and critics then take polls that are freaking 8 months old, at 3 months old, 2 months old, whatever, and use them to try to criticize me. And I'm not going to open myself up to that kind of criticism. All right, let's look at just the head-to-head Biden versus Trump versus someone else. Let me look at vote history. I've never voted. All right, so it's actually relatively close in Minnesota. However, whoops, what did I do here? Yeah, it's relatively close in Minnesota among those who said they never voted. However, midterm voters, it's more than 2-1 in Donald Trump's favor, or non-midterm voters is more than 2-1 in Donald Trump's favor. Trump is 20 points up with people who did not vote in 2020. He is 28 points up for those who did not vote in the 18 midterm. This is Minnesota only. And he is 20 points up with those who did not vote in the 2016 presidential election. So yes, in Minnesota, even though some of that new voter stuff looks a little bit more convoluted, you absolutely should embrace it and do it. Absolutely. 100%. Get a hold of somebody who's got a good consumer database if you have money to spend on that, and go to town. Go to town. All right. I'm talking all in, dude. Ryan, find someone who's got a consumer database that overlaps with the voter file and the federal donor list, and even state contributor list would be good too, and or both. That would be even better. And get them to get you targets like I do, for other people. And if you have the finances, I'm saying, to do it, and go get them. They're out there. I'm telling you. Remember 2016? Do you remember 2016? 2 freaking points, guys. 2 points. Believe me, that 2 points is out there. They're out there. All right. Speaking of which, let me just drop this for a second here while we do the questions. And forgive me for shamelessly showing you the Public Polling Project's latest numbers. All right, let's go to Tube. Hey, Rich, I'm thinking the reason Mike Johnson is a backstabber is due to the CIA and FBI dragging him into the skiff and putting the fear of God in him. Crew Kid, I think something like that happened to Mike Johnson too. I do. I absolutely do. Who trolls our elites better than Trump or Putin? Nobody, David. Nobody. But back to Crew for a second. I do 100% think I think there's something going on here. The about face is astonishing. Astonishing. I mean, I haven't seen an about face like this in a long time. I mean, this is something truly a sight to behold. Tristan, if Biden were to remain off the ballot in Ohio, how would it affect the Dem down ballot races? It certainly would hurt him. Sherrod Brown, he's got to have Biden on that. I mean, any presidential cycle is going to drive up turnout. So, are those my girls? Are my girls back? Are those my girls I hear? I think my girls are back. What is the impact on RFK's abortion stance? Gustavo, that's a good question. If I was Trump, I would not be attacking RFK. I wouldn't. Why? Because I don't think RFK is going to get on these ballots. And I would want disgruntled RFK voters to come over to me. He's a flaming liberal on when it comes to abortion. I don't give a damn about his recent attempts to moderate it. The guy is an abortion up to the point of birth guy and has been forever. And I'm not going to let him change his mind on that. But I do think that there are some Republicans out there who just don't seem to know. Trump should leave that up to his surrogates. He should not hit RFK himself, because you want him to say nice things about RFK. Say, look, RFK's got some good ideas on, populist agenda items. But look, he doesn't stand a chance, and that's it. I also don't know what I would do with the debate. I saw that other question. I don't know what I would do with the debate issue here yet. Gary Johnson was polling around where Kennedy is polling, and he ended up fading too. Kennedy's own poll does not substitute for a consensus of, credible, polls that we look at. I would wait until there's some kind of the idea that he's beating both Biden and Trump in a head-to-head, to me, is absolutely lunacy. I mean, I don't know. I just don't think Democrats would ever vote for Kennedy over Biden. I don't. We'll see. At least not the core of the Kennedy. I mean, he's going to lose some, because there are some people. Who would he take? He's going to take the white working class that remains part of the Democratic coalition. It's dwindled now. Maybe he'll take some of them, but white educated Democrats are not voting for Kennedy. African-American urban voters are not voting for Kennedy. It's just not happening. It's not. Maybe some Southern older Democrats will, but I don't know. Stranglehold the Democratic Party has on older black voters is still so significant. I just don't see it. I really don't. That's a really good question. Okay. What else? What am I missing here? A little bit on Getter. What will the Republican running for re-election campaign on the border or less government spending? Absolutely. The border is way more important at this point and much more powerful. What did you hear the suburban woman from New Jersey bring up, right? That really wasn't on our mind about the deficit, even though, of course, it matters to people. It's an intangible issue. They can't see the impact of it. It so far isn't, an issue for them because it isn't bothering them. Wait until there's a debt bomb. And then when everybody else is getting bludgeoned, because everybody is going to be hurt by the debt bomb, then all of a sudden, believe me, it will become an issue. But right now, it's just not. There are too many things. Where that woman is from, Believe me, she remembers the illegals hanging out on the corner of CNN, taking jobs away from Americans. Maybe it didn't catch her eye at the time, but now that the country's being overrun, there's all these other issues. That's like, what about us first? Then I think that this is the best way to go. What are my thoughts on the Illinois GOP establishment and the grassroots? We'll see. The jury's out. There are some people who are trying to make a difference in Illinois. There are some people who understand generally the formula that we've been talking about here for a while. I've had conversations with them, done business with them. Do I think is as much as it should be? I don't. And Democrats this is the thing that pisses me off about the establishment in areas like this. You're never going to beat them with like the traditional campaigning playbook. You're just not. They will spend $2 million on a state legislative race in Illinois. If they will. The pocketbook is bigger. And Republicans think that they can earn or fundraise a decent amount and then kind of fight on those terms. That is not where you put your money. You have to sink your money into voter outreach, new voter outreach. You're never going to win like that. Ever, 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 ever. So, I mean, it's a bit of a mixed bag because they're not all. There are some people who really do get it. There really are. Yeah, so there it is. Funny thing, our good friend Sean tweeted that James Carville thing saying he's a smart guy. I think James Carville is smart. The wisdom of it's the economy stupid is a timeless and smart approach. But as Sean mentioned on the show the other day, and we played the Carville thing, he said, I don't know what to do. It's just not working. Well, James, I mean, he twisted your friggin' statement, it's the economy stupid, into the economy is good, stupid. I mean, that's what Joe Biden has done. So you're going to lose like that. There's no way, no how. Yep. There it is. It's about out of time. Okay. I mean, I, got to as many as I could. But let me see if there's, I did hear Laura just get back, but she did not have obviously no way to jump in and do it. Check out the Public Polling Project. It's right there. Go check it out. Contribute if you can. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get the ball rolling on it. If we can, share it far and wide. Share it with your Facebook page. Share it with your groups, your group chats. Say, hey, help out if you can here. We're trying to get the ball rolling on some better polling. We had to overspend in the primary because I knew what they were going to do. I knew we kept them honest, but now we have to keep the general electorate honest too. And I need your help to do that. It's that simple. I can't do it alone. I can't do it. I didn't do it alone last time, but the burden was there, and we can't do it again. So, try to help me expand the contributor base. Okay. Is really what we're trying to do. Because the bigger the contributor base is, the less burden it is on all of us, right? And we're always doing it. We're always the same ones who do it. Let's build, if we can expand it considerably, we don't have to worry about that, What else? What am I missing here? Oh, again, Dr. Gorka. If you guys didn't hear, I'll be on with Reality Check with Dr. Gorka on Sunday on Newsmax. Don't miss it. It's going to be good. And I think that's just about it. Outside of the book club, and the book's right here, The Emerging Populist Majority. You do not have to buy it. If you want to come, if you're a local supporter or a YouTube member, just come on in when you see me post it. And you don't have to have the book. You can sit. We're going to read it anyway. It's always better to have it. And for that, I would suggest you go to Amazon and get the hard copy, but you don't have to. All right. That will be Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I don't foresee anything messing with that. The week after may get a little bit hairy, but we'll see. All right. That's it. Thank you to our sponsors, taxreliefhelpers.com. Links and the phone number is for both taxreliefhelpers.com and Freedom Gold USA are in the description. Give them a call. And we thank them for, of course, their continued support. And our friends at Jam and Bean, who we will start running again next week, by the way, that I'll just give you a little bit of a whisper. The TPP 40 is back. So if you're looking to sign up to Jam and Bean, use the promo code TPP 40 because it's live right now. So with that in mind, I think I got all that out there. Thanks for watching Inside the Numbers, as always, with the People's Pundit. Have a good weekend. Have a safe weekend. Enjoy it with your families. Try to get some downtime. Maybe you want to spend a little bit of time for yourself. Nothing wrong with it. And I will see you on Sunday, book clubbers, and I'll see the rest of you on Monday. Thanks for watching, folks. Number love for you. Deuces.